What are the 5 steps of raising finance when you want to do a business acquisition? In this video, I'll be talking about the 5 stages that you need to go through when you want to go and buy a business. Now, these steps, you need to constantly be taking them through your business buying journey. Whether it's your first business acquisition or whether it's your 10th business acquisition, you should be doing all of these all of the time. So what are they? Let's get into them straight away. Number 1 is outreach. It's making connections. It's reaching out with investors. It's reaching out with lenders. It's reaching out to partners who could possibly give you finance when you are going to do deals. Now, this is the same at all stages. So this is what I do almost on a daily basis. I'm networking with people. I'm using this website. It's called Google. It's called Google. Would you believe it? That actually you can go out and search raise finance for business acquisition, investors looking to invest for a business acquisition. And there are particular websites that you can go to that will actually give you finance for your acquisition. I'll let you go out, depending on what country you're in, to go and Google what websites are relevant for you. But making connections is something that you need to do all the time, because you don't know which funder is going to give you money for your deal and for which deal. And there are different types of funders out there. So for example, there'll be some investors and some lenders who will raise finance or who will give you money for a particular type of deal. There'll be some lenders who have a minimum criteria on the deal size. There'll be some investors who want to see a particular industry. So it's all relative to what kind of deals you're doing and what the size of the deals are. So outreach is something that you need to do constantly, whether you're doing your first acquisition or whether you're doing your 10th acquisition and beyond. The second thing that you need to do is that once you've made the outreach and you've initially contacted the person, and by the way, when I say outreach, I don't mean sending an email and waiting for a reply. No, I mean actually speaking to someone on the phone or actually having an email conversation or a message conversation with a person. So that means that person knows who you are, they've acknowledged your presence, they know what kind of deals you're doing, they know what kind of industry you're in, they know what kind of deal size you're looking at, and they've got that preliminary information, and then they say, yes, we can do finance for this type of deal. We can give you money for this size of acquisition. So that's what I mean by outreach. The second thing that you need to do is you need to keep in touch with these people, because today we're busy, today we're distracted, we've got so much noise that goes on in our lives, whether that's in our businesses or whether that's online or whether that's in our family life, in our personal life. There's so much going on. So just like you have all of that going on, you need to think about the people who are investors and lenders. They have the same things going on. So if you need to keep in touch. Once you had that initial touch point, keep in touch periodically. And that doesn't mean that you need to phone them every single day or even every single week. Like for example, I have a habit of reaching out to these people about once a quarter, if I haven't done a deal with them at that particular point. So about once a quarter, I'll make a point, I'll go through what I do is in my phone book, I always write down finance. So there's a section in the phone book, I don't know what it is. In your contact list, I just put finance in there. So therefore I can just type in the keyword finance in my phone book, and then it comes up with all of the people who I've previously spoken to about raising finance. So it's about keeping in touch with them periodically, because you never know which one has moved on. So for example, a few months ago, I was speaking to someone about raising finance. He said, yeah, that's fine, we keep in touch. And then I called him a couple of months later and he was like, oh, I've moved on from that place. So all right, that's fine, who can I contact? In this particular case, he didn't even know who I could contact. So then I had to restart it again. I had to restart to outreach again for that particular institution. So that's why keeping in touch is really, really important, to identify who are the people that you need to speak to get your deal done. Now, once you've found a deal, then you need to move on to the next stage. So this is where it goes from general outreach into specifics. So in your business, when you're going to buy a business, then there'll be your deal criteria that you've selected. Now, that particular business that you're currently working on now, the acquisition that you're working on right now, that fits into a particular criteria. So remember, when you initially made the outreach, you asked these lenders and these investors that what kind of deal are you looking to invest in? So they've given you a particular criteria. Now what you can do is that your deal that you're currently looking at, you say, okay, which investors are interested in this type of deal? This size of deal, this industry of deal, which investors are like this kind of deal? Then you will reach out to them and say, right, remember we spoke a couple of months ago, whenever it was, a couple of weeks ago. This is a deal that I'm currently working on. You said that that's the type of deal that you like to look at. Can you take a look at this? And they'll say, right, that's fine, send over the details. So this is actually linked to one of the steps of actually doing a business acquisition, making offers, because what you need to do is you need to get indicative offers on a particular acquisition to see what will investors give you for that particular deal. And some investors might say, right, we'll give you 100% of the finance. Some investors might say, we're only going to give you 30%. Then what do you do in that case? What you need to do is you start syndicating your financing. So syndicating your financing means that you look for other people to top up that remaining amount. So let's say, for example, you went to one investor and they said, right, we're going to give you 30% of the value of the acquisition. Obviously 30%, if you negotiated it, that might be enough, that might not be enough as a down payment to get that business deal done. Let's say, for example, you need 50% on day one. Then you need to go and find the other 20% from somewhere else. And that means syndicating the financing of that particular acquisition. So then once you've syndicated everything, you've got indicative offers, also known as offers in principle, on that, right, we're going to give you this much on this particular business acquisition. Now you can go out and make an offer, or you can start structuring an offer in any way. So that's indicative offers or offers in principle. The next stage is that once you've made an offer and it's been accepted by the seller, then you will go and get a conditional or an unconditional offer. Generally speaking, there'll be conditional offers. It'll be based on X, Y, Z happening in your particular business acquisition. It's different for every single deal, so I can't tell you what that might be. For example, they say, right, we want this to happen with that financing. If you're a business owner, we need this management charge to happen. We need this dividend to be taken. We need this SPV to be created. It's all different types of scenarios that can come up with these conditions that these investors and lenders make up. Of course, shares, for example, shareholder agreements, all of these things come into play depending on who you're raising finance from. So then you get your conditional and unconditional offer. From there, don't think that the deal is done, because the deal is not done until it's done. So that's why you move on, you push on, you go through your due diligence and everything, and then finally you go through the fifth stage, the last stage of raising finance, which is your capital call. Your capital call is when you actually draw down the finance from the investors, you draw down the finance from the lenders, and then that is the completion payment that happens. So those are the 5 stages of raising finance for a business acquisition. And in fact, it's the same for many different things as well. I'm saying business acquisition because most people who watch my channel is talking about how to buy businesses. So step number 1 is outreach, making those connections. Number 2 is keeping in touch with the finances. Number 3 is getting indicative offers or offers in principle. Number 4 is getting the conditional and unconditional offer. And number 5 is doing the capital call or the drawdown to go and complete on that business deal. If you found that helpful, then go and watch more videos on my channel, and best of luck in your business buying journey.